This session is actually going to be on Extreme Guest Essentials. I'm going to be doing an overview of this product. If you're not familiar with what Guest Essentials is, it is one of the, well, here's the agenda. I'm going to be going through Guest Essentials, an overview of that. I'm going to be looking at some use cases of it. I'm going to be doing a demo. Now, at the end of the slides, and I will make these available to you, I've actually included more configuration slides to show you how to configure this. It is fairly complex, so it won't be as comprehensive as it could be, but there will be slides there to guide you through the configuration and the steps you need to do it. As I do the lab, I am going to walk through a live demo. If you follow this video, you should be able to get a basic portal up and running, and you should know how to be able to customize it. Okay. Just one thing, Extreme Guest Essentials is a part of a package we include with Extreme Pilot, and within that you actually get 4 essentials packages: IoT Essentials, Guest Essentials, Location Essentials, and Air Defense Essentials. And those are included. They're free with your pilot license, your base license, so you can use those. You do need to go in and enable them, and I'll show you that in the lab on how to enable guest. So that is available to you. Extreme Guest Essentials is basically a simple but very secure, sophisticated guest access solution. So it's about setting what happens, how do you onboard users, guest users into your network. You do policy enforcement to say how long they can stay on for. And obviously you can set within the user profiles what they can access on your network. And then also it gives you extensive analytics, which is possibly the most important thing with it, is that it gives you the ability to mine who has been on my network, how often do they come on. This week have I had how many new users as opposed to previous people have been on my network, etc. And it allows you to actually mine that information. It gives you customized workflows, which allow you to customize the way that people come on, whether it be sending one-time use codes, whether it be sponsored guest access, whether it's using social network login, those kind of things. It gives you customizable web splash pages. So I'll show you this. You can actually, within it, it's highly customizable web pages that you can build. You can even do drop into HTML and actually put the HTML code in there to actually customize them yourselves. And then once you've actually built that, obviously, as I said before, analytics insights. So you'll be able to mine that to see who has been on my network, what have they been doing, etc. Okay. So in terms of analytics, Guest provides an extensive capabilities in there. You can actually do things, especially if you're doing things like self-registration with social logins. It gives you the ability to even mine demographics information. Obviously, it's going. The social login is using things like Facebook, LinkedIn, Google to actually log into the network through those credentials. And then once you've got that, actually, it gives you the ability to gain some more information on demographics and things like that. Navigation of up to 10 million users. Customize the web dashboards within the analytics page itself. So here you see, you can actually immediately start to see across all of my locations how many, and I might have, say, within, this is New York, but it could be Toronto, a site, a city. Within that, I could have several sites within that. Several places within that. As I zoom in, I actually see the individual locations, individual buildings. If I click on those, I can then start immediately to see how many people do I have on my network as guests right now. Especially if you were like a school board or if you were a retailer, you can immediately then start to zoom in and gain insights onto what's going on. I say customizable dash pages. So these I'll show you how to go into the dashboard, but the dashboards are customizable. And this is there are a number of widgets which you drag and drop onto the screen, and it gives you the ability then to customize that analytics visibility through the dashboard very easily. As I said, customizable web pages. So you go in there, it's actually drag and drop formatting. So literally, we give you a number of customized templates pre-built. You can't even change those. You would clone them, and then you can go in and edit them. You can create them from scratch. It's up to you. But this gives you literally you drag and drop formatting. So you drag like blocks of onto the pages, and then you format those blocks, those sections with customized content. So you can add pictures in there. You can add little bits of videos, buttons for like accepting terms and conditions. Obviously, logos, welcome messages, text. You can actually the terms and conditions fully customizable, so you can add your own text in there. Mentioned the built-in templates, and you actually have an HTML editor, which I'll show you how to get into that. That you can actually, each of these blocks, you could actually customize through HTML, or you can actually, once you've actually, say, dropped a picture in there, you can actually drop into HTML and edit the way that's viewed. So very customizable web portals. Reporting. Throughout you can actually go into reports. It gives you the ability to generate your own reports. So you can build customized reports. These can be run, as you see here, daily, at midnight, weekly, monthly. You can build those reports, have them run, email to you, or you can just go in here, click on them, and actually download if you like. And those can be available either PDF kind of reports, or they can come out as CSV files. So you can actually then take that data and mine it and produce your own formatted reports as you like. So detailed reporting in there. We'll walk through this, but on the onboarding, we give you flexibility to add your own criteria. You can add multiple criteria as people come in, whether it just be through a specific email domain, through a specific sponsored email. So I could have someone come and say, okay, I'm visiting Mark Chambers at Extreme. Put my email in there. It'll email me send me an email. I'll actually say approved. And then based on that approval, the action condition there is once I've approved it, I send them a one-time use code. Or I can obviously do things like social type, user type, or device count. How many devices can a user actually use this login for, and actually define that as well. So I can limit them to say 3 or 4 devices at a time. And more on those criteria, I can actually nest criteria. So here, for example, we've got a user email domain. So based on that email domain, in this case, if it's someone at Extreme Networks, I'm just going to register them as a client on my network, and I'm going to give them 30 days access. If I do something like social login, say through LinkedIn, I can define that very clearly. There are others there, but I'm only allowing LinkedIn on this one. I'm going to again register that user as a guest user, and I'm only going to give them 7 days. Or maybe as another criteria I've put in here, and I can actually nest multiple criteria. I'm going to sponsor domain, and it's actually, again, anyone from Extreme Networks can sponsor this. I could put additional sponsored domains if I want. Just click on the plus button, add another sponsored domain if I wanted to do that. So you got multiple companies under an umbrella, you could do that. And then again, I'm going to use this with sponsored guest access. And these are very customizable workflows. And we build this up, and I'll walk through this with you and show you how this works. Some of the use cases that you see, obviously, a guest registration, a self-registration, and it's actually, you can actually set it to send through email or through SMS. We'll send single use codes to get in there. Social media-based login and sponsored access is the main thing for that. It gives you this ability to build those customized web portals. So it's not just a basic portal anymore, but you can actually put your own content on there very easy with drag and drop widgets. And you can actually assign those web portals on a per location basis. So if you have a dozen locations, you can actually have a different web portal at each location saying, welcome to Extreme Networks Thornhill office, okay? And instead of San Jose. You can have a different portal at every location. And basically then you can actually do things like session time, rate limits, and schedule-based access based on how that customer comes in. And then you can actually gain that business insights, weekly reporting, weekly, monthly trends, see how many users have been on my network this week as opposed to the same week a year ago. You can actually go back and actually look at historical data and find out how many people are on there. And you can compare between sites. How is this site compared to that site, right? If you're a real retailer, how is my downtown store compared to one out in Mississauga? And obviously reporting to build those reports. Okay, kept that very simple. The next section I want to go into, though, is probably the most important part, which is actually the how do we actually go ahead and build these portals? So the next part is going to be a lab. Just give me a second just to switch over here. And so how do we build extreme guest portals? And first thing, obviously, through everything, for those of you who are familiar with XIQ, everything is done through network profiles. I've got several network profiles here. See the one I did for PPSK about 2 or 3 weeks ago. This one I've built, pre-built, and it's an extreme guest demo portal, SSID. And I'm going to go in here and edit it. Now, one important thing is, and I will point out, if you see this little checkered box here, these are the Extreme Essentials packages. And this is where you actually go into Extreme Guest. But before you can enable guest, first you need to build an open SSID. Extreme Get always is guest access on an open SSID. Obviously, if it was there was a PPSK or a pre-shared key on there, you need to distribute that key before they access anything. So it's always on an open SSID as a guest portal. Okay, so once you've got that, you will be able to enable eGuest from here. And this first step is important to do that first. Okay, obviously you're building your portal. Those who've been familiar with XIQ and network policies, you'll know how this works. Next step, which we're going to do is actually build our networks, our SSIDs. And I've actually got one pre-built here already. I already walked through some of this, and I'm going to walk through this with you. Once if you haven't created one, you'll need to hit the plus sign. You're going to go in there. It will actually then open up this window where you actually give it a name. The name is just literally a label, a name. You can actually put something different under the broadcast name if you like. So if you wanted to call it something different, just like guest access, that you could do that. I've assigned it to 5 gigahertz. You could assign it to multiple frequencies if you like. If you've got a Wi-Fi 6E access point, then you can actually put it on 6 gigahertz as well. You're actually going to, from these tabs down here, typically it would open up with, if you're brand new, with private pre-shared keys, and you're going to select it as an open, unsecured guest SSID. And here you actually have a choice between the internal captive web portal, which is built into XIQ itself. The Extreme Guest Essentials is an add-on package we've built. It was previously a standalone package that worked with our Wing portfolio, and you could actually build portals in that and have a separate server which manages that. And we've actually migrated that into cloud. And now you'll see this button down here, which says Enable Extreme Guest Essentials. And you're going to click on that button. Once you've clicked on that button, you've actually said, I'm going to use Extreme Guest Essentials with this open SSID. Okay. Basically from that, then you just need to create a user profile, and that user profile will automatically then send you to, here I've set it as a default profile. Will actually, when you connect to this SSID, will actually pop open that that guest portal that we're going to be building. I will look at this user profile for you. A couple of things that I've done here is, if you go in the firewall rules. Now, bear in mind, what I'm building here today is a guest in network. Probably the biggest use for that is onboarding guests. I've actually sent it to a black hole VLAN. This is on my home network, so I don't want people hacking it. So I've built just a black hole VLAN, so it doesn't go anywhere. So if I'm sending this thing out, then it doesn't, anyone tries connecting, they're not going to get anywhere. But even if they do, I added a firewall rule that says that this is actually a pre-built. If you click on select, and you actually see a bunch of pre-built ones, and you actually select this one, guest internal access only. That comes with XIQ. It's already built in there. It's a firewall rule. And what this basically does is give you DHCP, DNS access, but notice it blocks your internal network, deny drop packets. So, typically most of your networks are going to have private addressing, 10.172.16 and 192.168, and we deny access to those internal networks. So those are actually pre-built, and then I've allowed access to everything else. So these users can get access to the internet. They have access to DHCP servers, DNS servers, but they can't get to my internal network. The other thing that I built in here is actually an availability schedule. Oh, no, I didn't, but let's do that. So if I go in here and actually say, okay, when can this user get on here? So I'm just give this one a name. This is my schedule. And I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to give it a recurring schedule, Monday to Friday. I'm going to give them access from 6 a.m. or maybe a little bit later, maybe 7 a.m. through to 6 p.m. And then limit that, save the schedule. Now I've limited when that guest access. I believe it was Edward Snowden. He was going in after hours at 10, 11 o'clock at night. And that's when he was getting into his stuff and downloading stuff he shouldn't. Well, this limits those guests so that, if they do get access, well, they shouldn't get access to your internal because we've got firewall rules on there, but they're limited when they can get on your network. You're not going to have them sat out in the parking lot using your guest access, at 2 o'clock in the morning. So once I've built that user profile, I'm just going to say save that user profile, and then I'm going to select it. You'll see it actually there. What was it? Guest demo. I'm going to select that, and I've already got it. Guest demo, user profile, and that's selected. Within XIQ, that's really all you need to do to actually set up eGuest, to actually get the SSID to use eGuest. The next thing we're going to need to do is actually go into the eGuest portal itself. Now, the first time you see this, you do that, you're actually going to see it's actually going to throw up a logo here saying Extreme Essentials eGuest, and you're going to see an enable button down here. Click on the enable button. Provided you've got that open SSID, it's actually going to say which open SSID do you want to attach to. You select that, and it will now enable it, and then it should send you to this page. And this is your basic landing page. In here, this is your dashboard. So obviously, if this is a demo network, I'm only just building this, so I'm not going to have much information on here. But yeah, as I said, this is fully customizable on the next page that we'll go to. But in here, you can actually build out your widgets. You can actually see user location, and I can actually zoom in and out here. So if I've got multiple locations, I would start to see those locations on my map as they've been built, and I will start to see how many guests are in each one. Okay. As well, I start to see data coming into these widgets that tell me how many users have been on my network total over a period of time, and I can gain, just to gain immediate visibility today versus yesterday, new users today versus yesterday, things like that. And this is, say, customizable. Of course, you want to go further than that, and then you're actually going to click on this button, which is More Insights. More Insights drops you into another landing page. Notice it opens up a brand new tab, so I can switch back between XIQ and eGuest very easily. And there are a number of buttons here that you can go on. Just deal with these. First one is your just more advanced dashboards monitoring page. If you look at that little paintbrush there, paint tray thing. And again, we can actually now start to zoom in on all my locations. If I had multiple locations, I'd see all of those locations across the entire world. Oh, there are another one here. I don't know who this one is. Someone else is in there. Yep, I do have another thing there. So that I actually built another network there for somebody else. And that actually has eGuest built onto it as well, set up on it. If there's multiple locations in Toronto and I zoom down, I would actually see all those locations. And if I hover over them, I immediately get a summary of how many users, new users, return users are on my network. I mentioned earlier, these dashboards are customizable. And actually, this gives me the ability to create new dashboards. And actually then just by dragging and dropping of those charts, I can actually customize these to see, who gain the visibility that I want to see on these charts. So here's one that I just threw together very quickly, and I can actually click on that and I can edit that. And you'll see this in other screens. I can literally just now drag and drop sections on here, themes. I'm not going to overwrite my existing theme, but I can actually select a different theme, a different layout, and then actually within this, I can actually customize these as I need to. Okay, so that's monitoring pages. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'll drop down this last one, which is analyze, and in here I can actually see all the clients that have been on my network at a glance immediately, and in here I can actually come in, or users, I can go and see all the users as well. So these will be client devices, these will be end users, and I can actually generate reports from here. I can generate customized reports, manage my reports. So here I can actually add a new report and generate that new reports from here. So this is where I would do all my analytics and where I generate those reports. The button I'm going to spend time on today, though, because I said is configuration. So click on the gear icon, and immediately now you start to go into customization. And I'm actually quickly going to just jump back here onto my slides. And there's one slide I did want to pull up here. And I'll just move this out of the way. And it's this one. These parts that you'll see in this template, I want to just give you a workflow. This is in the slides. You're going to do authorization policies. I'm going to show you those. And all of these interlink into a policy, which goes into rules. And then all of these different pieces go together. And so as I'm building this, you're actually going to see these pieces come together, okay? And I just wanted to show you that as we did. And that is in the slides. If you go to, if you can, I'll put a PDF of this up for you. So the authorization policies are basically work a little bit like Radius. And again, there are pre-built ones. I've actually added my own here. And this, if you look, it's basically similar to what you would see in Radius sessions. So in activity timer, if this user does nothing within 900 seconds, what's that, 5 minutes? Then assume they're logged out. You set this to what you think is reasonable. Session timeout, this in minutes. So 480, what's that, about 8 hours? I said after 8 hours, after that's a single session, either re-authenticate them. Similar to what you would see in Radius, this would be a re-authentication timer. Once you built these authentication policies, you're going to add those into access groups. Seems strange, okay. And literally all I'm doing in the access group is selecting my authentication policy, give it a description, give it a name, and I'm going to add those into that, my authorization policy. And that will be akin to your Radius groups that you're going to build, okay? It is designed to look exactly like that. You're not going to do anything more than that, though. You are going to have, these should be so location, these should be pre-populated. So for example, here I've got within my own network, I've got different floors, Mark's office with different floors. I've got actually this other network I built has got multiple floors as well within there, and all those locations are pre-populated. So it's going out to my XIQ, looking at the sites that I've created, and it's actually bringing those in already. In my networks, if you look, these are my SSIDs, which are available. Even though you selected, when you enabled it, you selected an open SSID. I've actually got a couple of ones put in different network profiles here, pre-built. So it's going to ask me which ones do I want to use. And it was actually this one, which I selected before. All it's doing is showing you what's there. Remember, I said in that little diagram that these pieces all fit together. And we're defining them, it's pulling them out from XIQ, pulling them into Extreme Guest, and we're going to use these components later. Devices, these are actually devices on my network. I've actually only got one which I'm using right now, and that's it. That's the only one I think I've got online right now. So, and then another piece, and actually if I just quickly pull this over, you're going to see what we've done. So we built and looked at authorization policies. we've added those into access group notification policies. What are those? Notification policies are basically, if I am doing, say, sponsored guest access, and I'm sending an email or a text message to a sponsor, what does that email look like? So this would actually allows me to build a sponsored guest a email or a text message. And this, I'm actually get to build both in here. For an SMS message, what does that look like? And you do notice there are keywords, permit URL, deny URL. It's actually going to put up a little, these are actually going to be presented as buttons on this email, this SMS message, so that sponsor can actually say yes, deny, permit, is given the guest name. These are predefined names we're going to give them, and it's going to be a little message in here. This is a very simple one that we've actually powered by Extreme Networks, and actually emails a little bit more sophisticated. Dear sponsor name, please approve, permit, deny buttons, or oh, and the guest user is this name, powered by Extreme. It's very simple, but you can customize those very easily to your own messages. And these are basically what will be sent to those end users. So you can build those yourself, very simple. This one is for approval. This one is basically saying, hey, if I'm sending this to a sponsored guest, but this time I'm just notifying them, this person has come on your network, they've been approved already, or they've just been granted access already. This is a passcode. You might want to give that. You might say the sponsor has to hand out the passcode so we don't send it to the end user. And this is one that we would send to the end user themselves. And again, under SMS or email, we can actually define separate notifications to each one and actually allow you, so as they come on, yes, I don't want to say it, just leave that as it's. So that's where you would build notifications. And those are all then, when we look at onboarding policies, we then go into the onboarding policy itself. And I'm actually there's a couple of default ones. There's a default one. I think this is one I built before. This is one I'm going to look at today. And remember with this, the notification policies, I mentioned in the thing earlier, you've seen these actual sections before. You can actually build multiple criteria, okay? And notice here I have 3 different criteria, all on the same web portal. This first one's criteria said, hey, this is a sponsored email domain. So what's going to happen? They're going to come in here. It's going to present a web portal. It's going to ask them for sponsored a sponsor at extremenetworks.com. So they have to put in my name or whatever. And based on that criteria, I'm then going to ask them for a, basically, I'm going to build up an action for that user. Oh, actually, I should actually say, let me add a new criteria. So this is just a brand new criteria, just so I can show you some of the fields without messing things up. So some of the things is user domain. So I can say, hey, if this user is in Extreme Networks, then based on that, I can actually just say, hey, grant them access, register the user and give them access. That's all I'm going to do. I can give them sponsored guest access. So a sponsored guest email basically looks for a sponsor's email domain. And then based on that, we have different actions that will follow on that. And again, based on that, then I could say, hey, based on the sponsor's response, either send them a one-time on sponsor approval, send them a one-time use code, or passcode on sponsor approval, or send one time to the sponsor. Remember, I mentioned that one. Send send passcode. The difference between passcode and one-time passcode. A passcode can be used multiple times. A one-time passcode is they enter it once, and then once they're on, it can't be used again. Okay, a sponsored a passcode sent in this case just a passcode to sponsor or passcode to the client just means it can be used multiple times if they need to. Obviously, some of the things I can do is deny as well. Here's my social types, and if I click on social types, then I can actually select my different. I got Facebook, Google, LinkedIn are the ones we support, and then based on that, I can again do register the client, is it changes the responses. So I can change it. Notice the workflow changes according to what I select here. I can actually do user type. So based on that, if this is an employee, a vendor, or a guest, then I can actually customize access for each type of users. And then I can actually limit the count, which is actually, you'll see that at the bottom. So I can actually say, like you see the one at the bottom here, basically they get 3 devices. After that, I'm denying access. And notice that applies to both of these different types. Okay. So the one that I've actually, I'll take that out because I've already built my profile. I've actually said here, notice the rest of this template. I said, I want a sponsored guest email. I'm going to update the user. I'm going to send them the information. Oh, and I've actually said my action then is send passcode on sponsor approval. So what happens is this person logs in. They send Mark Chambers at extremenetworks.com an email that says, hey, I want access to your network. I say approved, and he gets a passcode. I want to update the user what's going on. So I'm going to send him a text saying, hey, waiting for Mark Chambers to approve you. And maybe I want to give him temporary access. This is selectable. You don't have to do this. I said I'm going to give him temporary access for a short period of time so that he can get on the network to maybe through email receive that one-time use code. I'm going to actually change here the period of time that it's valid for and how, what happens. This is one of those access policies is basically, hey, give him temporary access. I could deny access, guest access. It's actually built. I built one there that said temporary access. And then basically the notification policies, the user policy and the sponsored notification policies. Remember, I talked about those up at the top here. Under notification policies, we actually made those available. And I just select that. It's pulled down. And it's not allowing me to build it because I've already saved it. But I can actually select what notification policies I'm going to use on that. I can actually build multiple criteria on the same SSID. These probably don't make sense. I've just added them as they are. And yeah, notice one thing I did add, as I mentioned earlier, a user count. So I'm allowing up to 3 devices. After that, I will deny access. And then I've actually put a deny to anything else. So I just put a denial policy at the end of that. All right. So again, we've built that. So what we've done, and I'll just go back over here. So what I've done is said, okay, I built my authorization policies in access groups. I built my, and then within my policy, which I've just built, I've put my notification policies. Next thing is to build all of those into rules. And rules is where it all starts to come together. So if I go down to rules and actually look here, just refresh, and I come into one of the rules that I built here. Notice I gave it a name. Notice the policy which I built up above. I've actually said, I think that was actually called sponsored guest, wasn't it? Let me just double check. Policy, I sponsored guest. Actually, this one was the one I was going to go with. This is a sponsored guest access. This one's a little bit simpler. So then in the rules, I've said go in here. I've selected. Now I can actually put this sponsored guest, or there's the guest access one, which I've pre-built as well. What network am I going to be? I'm actually said this is my network, my home network. This is my network profile. I've got a couple here. I'm actually going to select this one to guest extreme demo. And this location is my home lab. If I come down here, I can actually expand this and I can actually say just to floor 1, just to floor 2, just to Mark's office. I can apply it to the whole location. Now, typically you might be a school board with 20 schools. You see all of them listed down here. Or if you're a retailer with multiple locations, you see all of them listed down here, and you can send those different, then you can define a different policy for each location. So I'm going to actually go for floor 1. Actually, I'm going to use Mark's office, and then a precedence. 1 is the highest precedence. You can actually add multiple rules to multiple different sites and the highest priority precedence rule takes priority and will be applied. So you can actually put different precedence rules on onto multiple sites. So if you've got multiple different web portals that you want to put out there in your network, you can actually assign multiple ones to the same site, give them different precedence, but the one with the highest precedence will always work. Okay, so and then you just hit save to save that rule. Okay, we'll look how to that. Basically, then that policy rule set will be applied to the network that we defined. Now, the next question is, what do they see? And you'll see this tab down here, which is Splash Templates. And this is where we build those customized web portals. If you come in here, you'll see two tabs at the top, System Templates and User Templates. These are the system templates right now. These are custom built. These are pre-built for you. And you can actually notice they all have a different type. So this would be accept and connect. So if you just had the terms and conditions, you just literally clone this one, and then you can edit this one if you like. We actually recommend you clone them and get to play initially. Email access, so based on your email, again, there's an accept and connect button. Sponsored guest access is going to ask you for a little bit more information. And then with a social login, again, this is for a social, and that covers most of your basic templates. You can start from scratch and build them from scratch, but we normally recommend that you just hit clone. Let's say I'm going to say an accept and connect. I would just hit clone, give it a name, and then you can start building this. So let's say demo accept connect. All right, so now once I've given it a name, now I can actually start customizing this portal. Now this one was just a basic, very basic accept and connect policy. Notice I've got a landing page. This would be the page where first time I connect to this SSID, this is what it gives me. Okay, and some of these make more sense. Once I've accepted the terms and conditions, I then go to welcome. Now, typically an accept and connect, you won't fail, but it is very difficult to fail on an act. All you have to do, you either leave or you accept the terms and conditions. But if it was, say, sponsored guest access or another form, you would get a fail notice. So there's actually 3 web portals that you could potentially build in here. The landing page is probably the one that you'll want to customize the most. In here, basically, I've got some kind of text. This is designed for your, you say, welcome to XYZ Corp, let's say. And this is for any of these sections, which are pre-built for you, are all customizable. And for a more detailed one, sponsored guest access, for example, you have more sections in there, but this is, you customize them according to what you need. To actually configure each block, you can actually add additional themes in here just by dragging and dropping. So I might say, you know what, I want to add some more content to my web page. I'm going to drop it down here. Now it's down. Now if I scroll down, I got 4 additional, I grab this one, which has 4 additional columns, and then I can customize and add more content accordingly. If you're just starting from scratch, and I have done that, I've deleted everything. I've started from a scratch one and built from scratch. It's very easy to do once you get familiar with it. Then you can actually start by laying out your basic content and building those up just by dragging and selecting those themes. Once I've selected a theme, I then go in and actually basically select a widget. And this defines in each of these little sections, what is that going to be? And obviously one of the things, maybe I want to take a image. I'm going to drop that image. Now notice there's no image there. I still need to format it. I need to configure it to add the image, but I've allowed an image, that one to accept an image. Maybe I'm going to add some video content. So again, grab my video, boom. I'm going to add a couple more images in here. I can actually do other things I can do. If I was building more, this is where I could put a slideshow in there. I can add buttons. in here. So if I put a button, this would be my, in fact, this is literally what, if the accept and connect button is just a button, and I've just added that in, and then I can customize that. I can put different registration forms in here. So this is where I would actually put in my, for my sponsored guest access here, would be doing that. Login options, I can actually, those would be, if I'm having to put in my single use code, etc. Social logins, if I drag that, then it gives me the ability to click on Facebook and actually say, now add my Facebook credentials if I like. HTML, this is an HTML editor. So if I add that one over here, I'll just add that one in just so we can see it. Then I can actually edit that. And terms and conditions, this is what you see here. So if you wanted to add your own terms and conditions, I'll show you how to edit that, okay? So starting at the top one is a text box. And actually that would be this icon here. If you wanted to add another text box, that's that one there. And if I click on this, now I can start editing my text. And I can actually say, go in there. Welcome to eGuest Demo Lab, right? And I can actually do things like and customize the text a little bit more. Select that. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's actually change the text color. So maybe I want gold, and maybe I want to select the background. Let's go with black. So it's our yellow text on a black background. And we'll save that text. That looks good. So we can actually start customizing these web portals. Now, oh, well, we still got this blue here. Well, actually, what I can do, reset. I click on this little box here. Let's set the whole box to black as well. So I've got yellow text on a black background completely. And you notice now I can actually select any color that I like within my palette. Typically, just about everything is in there. Standard color options. Click here. If you like, you can actually, on some of these, I'm trying to spot one for you, you can actually drop even into this. Is it this one? No, that's reset. I can actually go in and actually set the HTML code. Actually, that might be in here. So if I go in here, this one here, this little button down here, this pencil with the text above it, if I go in here, now I see the HTML code. So if you're a HTML jockey, I'm not. You can actually go in there and edit that yourself with HTML code and set, if you've got your own customized style, you can do that very easily. I'll toggle between it, save content. Okay, an image. Oh, I didn't add an image here. So this is actually another image. So let's go in here, select this. Oh, let's put a picture of, oh, you know what, maybe it's a bar. Let's put a bar in here. All right. So let's add that picture in there. Again, I can select some background colors. Let's make that black as well, just for the heck of it. So it's going to have a little picture now. Yeah, that should do. And you can actually upload these to the actual images yourself. You can actually browse. So you go to your own laptop or your own PC, select your image, upload that image into here yourself. So you can actually add your own content in there as much as you like. Login options, obviously this is mentioned, this is basically a button. So this you accept and connect button is what you can actually put in. You can call it whatever you like. You can actually put in a link here if you like. So you could actually have a button which redirects you to your web page if you like. So for more information on XYZ Corp, add a button in there that says, go here to find out more information. And obviously you can actually customize this button a little bit more. You can actually, I make the button, the text bigger or smaller. You can actually round the corners a little bit more. Notice the corners there getting rounder. You can actually adjust the size of it. So you can make the button bigger or smaller. And the text, you can actually customize the text as well. Okay. So all customizable on that. Other things, terms and conditions. So here, okay, just going through some of these just for practice. If I go into click this, now I can actually edit my terms and conditions. So obviously you have to talk to your lawyers, get what they want you to put in here. And I can say, edit the terms and conditions. I would, again, just edit, put my text in here, just paste my own text in here, and then save that. You can actually edit again. You can increase the font size, decrease it, put different color format in here. So again, if you wanted to have yellow on black, you could do that. If you really want to, you can put it in bold or not. You put it in italics, whatever you like. Select your different fonts. Obviously, customize that according to you want. Or if you really want, again, you can go into HTML. How do you want it formatted? Do you want it bulleted, etc.? So you just save that content. And obviously, again, select my color. Boom, done. Okay. So I can edit these units accordingly. Images, we've already gone through images. Let's put in a picture of me. Oh, sorry, drop that in there. Let's put in a couple of, oh, sorry, I'm rushing here. Oh, it's not liking that. Did I, why? Oh, that's a video, that's why. That's why. So I'm actually selecting a little video here. That's in there. Let's put this image in here. So there. And what else we got? Let's put this one in here. Oh, I'm sorry. Edit. Edit. Oh, that's an HTML editor. So in here, if you're in HTML, I'm not a HTML person, so I'm not going to even try. But if you wanted to actually build your own content and actually, put a little bit of HTML code in here, you can do that. Just paste it in and then save HTML content, and that would actually put in your own content for you. Okay. So as this is shown, you can actually customize things quite a lot. And again, I'll just for consistency, I'm going to select my background as black. Once you started building, you can actually, what does that look like? I can actually go up to this little eyeball up here and click on preview. And this will actually, give it a second, pop up what it looks like. Oh, I missed something there. Maybe I should go here and actually select that as black as well, just for the heck of it. Okay, hit that. So now I've actually got, all my content on here. Notice my little mooses are heating away. Now this is actually, I think, formatted initially across the bottom here. If this is going to be viewed on a PC, a laptop, or whatever, I can actually see, what about a tablet? What does it look like on a tablet? Different phone formats. This is for a vertical phone, a horizontal phone, vertical phone. Oh, my text is messed up. So I might want to play with that and edit my text just so it fits on, on a mobile, different mobile devices. Okay, so it gives you that ability to customize that content accordingly. And then once you're all happy with that, you're actually going to hit, these are a little bit small. I wish they'd make these a little bit bigger. Hit the save button. Okay, and that will actually save it, and give it a few seconds there to save. Once it's there, you've actually got it there under user templates. And these now are your user templates. And the last stage is quite simple. I'm going to actually just grab this again. Notice at the bottom here, I've talked about splash templates. It's configured separately. We've done all this stuff in blue. Now we're going to look at location, built our splash template. Now we've got to tie it to our location and SSID. Okay, so how do we do that? And it's quite simple. If you look at a little check mark, if you wanted to edit this more, just click the little edit template. If you want, you can clone this and make another copy of it if you like. You might want to do the same one, but put it at different, just instead of welcome eGuest, you might be welcome to, I don't know, Thornhill, Extreme Thornhill, or Extreme San Diego, whatever, San Jose. You might want to clone it and change the name or something like that. But the one thing that's important is this one. And it's a little check mark again. I wish it was more obvious, a bit bigger, but apply template to network. And you're going to click on that little button. Once you've clicked on that button, it actually throws up another little widget to actually configure. I'm going to go into location. And I noticed I mentioned before, all my locations are available. I'm going to put it in my office. And what network? Well, I think this one was, if I go back here and go back to my network policy. I'm going to actually apply it to Extreme Guest Demo. So if I go back here and I select in here, I will actually see Extreme Guest Demo already being brought over for me. That network is available. And then I'm going to add that, and it adds it to the top here. You could actually apply this same template to multiple locations. So you may have 20 offices, and you can actually put the same, you'd select all of them. Or actually, you could actually, if you had a hierarchy here, this might be Ontario, and you might have another one which is Quebec, and you could have one in French, one in English, or one in English, one in French, and you could say, okay, I have a guest portal which is in English. I'm going to apply that to Ontario, and all my locations in Ontario would get that template. Or if I select Quebec, all the ones in Quebec would get Quebec. So you can have different language portals, obviously, for different locations. So I set my location, I set my network, and I'm just going to say apply. And once that's been applied, successfully applied, okay, notice that it's gone yellow, green. Now at this point, someone tries that SSID is being broadcast. It's tied to a user profile. Someone connects to that. They're actually going to get basically this web portal is going to pop up exactly as you see it, and they're going to be able to get access to that network. So that's been about 55 minutes. Hopefully I haven't bored you too much and you've actually learned something. Now we do actually have a couple of questions here. Ethan, between each of these criteria, is it an or an and? It is a or between criteria. No, it's an and between criteria. So yeah, you may have to put in, it would ask you if maybe some of these I built wasn't exactly perfect, but if I put in between criteria, it would be and. So you would actually put in, for example, you would put in sponsored guest access and number of devices. That would be an and function within the criteria itself. Notice when I put under conditions, I could put multiple email addresses. Those would be or. Hopefully that's answered that one. When uploading content, is there a limit on how much you can send? Can you remove old images in order to recover space? I don't think there's a limit to, like, you could, I haven't looked at how many different, this is, bear in mind, this is, as you're building it, is hosted in the cloud, and then you're going to push it down to the actual networks themselves. In the cloud, there's unlimited, and I don't think we put a limit on how much content you can upload to the cloud, to apply to your web pages. So if you had 30 different images, that wouldn't be a problem. 100 different images wouldn't be a problem. And yes, you can delete old content. So if I was in here and I went to images, let me go to one of these. If I clicked on here, it put me in here. I believe if I select this, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at that, but yeah, there's a little X. If you look here, I can actually remove that content if I want to. So you can actually add and delete content as you like. Now, I did run into an image. There is a file limit size to these images when I was putting that video in there. One challenge I had, because obviously I just went out and downloaded some stock images, and apart from the one of myself, I did run into a limit. I think it was 20 megabytes file size, which for video isn't a lot, but you could put in a little GIF which rotates and things like that if you wanted to. You're probably not going to put really complex videos in there. So hopefully that answers the question. If not, ask another one. Is the captive portal hosted on the OAP locally or Extreme Cloud itself? Once you've built these, we'll actually go back in here. And obviously, once you've built everything, you're going to have to go in, you're going to have to select your devices, and you're going to have to do a push. So here's my access point. Notice it's orange. I'm going to have to go in here and do a push. At that point, it's hosted on the access point itself. So that answers the question.